Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate for a cure today for all those still battling Parkinson's and their families, because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone I admire and honored to really have some of his time today, although I feel like he's kind of with us in spirit because he's out there really fighting for everyone listening today, and so many who unfortunately we've lost due to Parkinson, but also just really such an honor to have you, the CEO of Parkinson's Foundation, with us today. And ironically, before we learn a little bit about you, I actually got this in the mail. So it was actually an odd, the interesting timing, and we're also representing the band here. But really such a honor. Again, could say it 100 times because it really is. It means the world to me and so many listening to have you with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, George. Thank you so much, and grateful to be here.
Well, the Parkinson's Foundation actually plays a big part of my heart. When my mother was diagnosed, we didn't really even know what Parkinson's was. And for several years, she didn't really share much with us. The last 4 years were something we would need a different show, unfortunately, to discuss. But one of the foundations, and really one of the most important that really was there for us, was the Parkinson's Foundation. We're located in South Florida. That's when I discovered the beautiful thing called Moving Day, which is something now that we participate, we walk, we have a table, and I'm a captain there, and we donated $1,000 per year just from our family, just in memory of my mother, but for all those still battling. So it's kind of even more special. It's not just we have the CEO today of the foundation, we have someone we consider family. So maybe we can start off today. If you could tell, I mean, I know everything, but maybe you could tell our listeners, the show again is really about reaching those who might not be
Sure.
aware of the foundation. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background and a lot more about the foundation.
Sure, yeah, happy to do it. So just background wise, I've been the CEO of the Parkinson's Foundation. I'm in my ninth year. So I started in 2017. I was hired by the board to come in following the merger of the New York organization with the Miami organization. So that's PDF with NPF. So that took place in 2016, and then I was hired to be the new CEO of the merged entity in 2017. So I'm in my ninth year, and it's been a labor of love, even though it's a very difficult disease. There's no place I'd rather be than working at the Parkinson's Foundation and trying to help people living with this disease. I've spent most of my career in healthcare. I worked at a couple of other organizations in children's cancer and allergies. I worked at the cystic fibrosis, and before that, I was at the University of Pennsylvania healthcare system in a number of different roles. I started out as a fundraiser. Actually, I started out as a researcher, then I became a fundraiser, and then I became, part of management. And so I've seen a lot of really good things happen in the nonprofit sector, in the disease specific sector, particularly when I was at cystic fibrosis, where we were able to raise sufficient funding to develop new therapies for cystic fibrosis that really changed the landscape, changed the disease. I am a believer that that can be done in Parkinson's, and so every day I think about how we can get closer to a cure, and emulate other organizations, one of which I had the pleasure of working for, but emulate other organizations to make that happen.
Thank you. And as CEO, I'm a little late, but congratulations. It's been 9 years, but never too late. But you have so many responsibilities. Maybe you can share a few of them, and also what has it been like, because you've been doing this almost a decade and probably longer, but at least in Parkinson, seeing technology and innovations come to the forefront. We always dreamed, and we saw slightly 5 years ago, that there could be a pill someone could take and that would be it. But unfortunately,
Yeah,
it didn't come to fruition for my mother. But
yeah.
I believe she does live on through everyone I meet, like yourself, and everyone listening and who shares this and supports the Parkinson's Foundation. But maybe you can share the different hats that you have, because it's
Yeah.
something that is just kind of see you talk for a minute by, you're actually behind the scenes, I think, even more than public, working hard toward the course cause.
Yeah. So, I think of my role as CEO in a number of different ways. One is to, we have a number of what I call functional areas. The key functional areas of the organization are first and foremost our mission areas, our programs, things that we do at the foundation to help improve the lives of people living with Parkinson's today while we advance research toward new and better therapies and ultimately a cure. So, making sure that our mission programs are on track, that they're heading toward our objectives and our goals is really a huge part of what I do. I'm also, I mentioned I come from a fundraising background, so I'm very much involved in helping to raise funds for the foundation to support our mission program. We've really fleshed out our programs. We're really in across the United States, in all 50 states. We get some support from other countries as well. And we've had a lot of success in raising funds over the last number of years, and that's a great thing, but it's only great if we can translate that into mission programs that really help people with Parkinson's. I'm also oversee fiduciary oversight. We take our financials very seriously. We want to make sure we have mission ratios that are at levels that demonstrate that we're putting money into mission, that independent nonprofit rating agencies view us in a positive light. So I'm proud to say that the three leading nonprofit oversight agencies all have us ranked as at the highest level for both responsibility, fiduciary responsibility, mission delivery. So we're very proud of that. I work also very closely with our communications team to make sure that the work of the foundation is getting out there, so that people know all across the country, all across the world, that they can access information and resources that the foundation has, as they need it. So communication is a huge part of what we do. And then lastly, just making sure that the engines and the trains run on time, that we're responsive to people's needs and demands, that we're always updating our materials to be current. So those are the main areas that I focus on. And I am out on the road from time to time speaking at public forum just to talk about Parkinson's disease in general, the community, and the work that the foundation is trying to do to help everybody living with Parkinson's disease.
Thank you. And I wanted to share for everyone listening how everyone can actually support the Parkinson's Foundation. And maybe you can walk us not through, but just tell us a little bit more about the foundation, the mission, and everyone.
Sure.
Please go to parkinson.org. It's really easy. So there's no excuses, everyone, to just head right over, subscribe, and support in your area or the national organization.
Yeah, so thanks for showing the website. We're very proud of the website. We just have been continually updating it. I'm proud to say that last year we had nearly 8 million visits to our website, and just 4 years before we were at 4 million. So we've nearly doubled the number of people who are coming to the website. We're delighted by that because we want people to access all the information and resources we have on our website. And also use it as a navigation tool to find resources in their own community. So it's a really important piece of what we do. You asked about our mission. So the Parkinson's Foundation has three core aspects to our mission: education, research, and care. In education, we provide life-changing support to people living with Parkinson's and their caregivers. We look to be the trusted and go-to source for all things related to Parkinson's disease. And if you have a question about Parkinson's, you can go to our website, as you mentioned, parkinson.org, or you can call our helpline. So we have a helpline that's staffed by an amazing team of specialists, professionals, experts in Parkinson's care, nurses, social workers, physical therapists, occupational therapists. And we're open. The helpline is open during working business hours in the United States. The toll-free helpline number is 800-4PD-INFO. That's 1-800-4 PD info. So if you ever have any questions about Parkinson's disease, feel free to call that number. We also put out a lot of digital materials, webinars, podcasts. We also have a lot of print materials that we send out. So we take our education mission very seriously. And as I said, we want to be the trusted and go-to source for all things Parkinson's. There's a lot of information out there about Parkinson's that you'll see in the news, and you're like, oh, is that really true? And one way to verify whether that's true or not is just come to our website or call our helpline, and they'll tell you whether what's being said is true or not. Another part of our mission is in research. We understand Parkinson's is a very complicated disease. It affects, we call it a movement disorder, but it really affects the entire body. It affects cognition, emotions, sleep, diet, in addition to all the different movement issues that it leads to. And so we understand that there's still many unknowns. We've learned a lot over the last number of years. There's a lot of progress being made. There's more money being spent on Parkinson's research right now than ever before, but that's still not enough, because until we find a cure for it, we've got to keep raising money and keep investing money in promising therapies. But so we have three components to our research mission. We fund a lot of young scientists, people in PhD programs or just emerging from PhD programs, who are asking important basic biology questions about Parkinson's disease. You have to start there, because until you know the basic biology, it's hard to tailor new therapies unless you're going really at a target. So we fund a lot of young investigators doing basic research at leading academic medical centers. We also have engaged with Parkinson's UK, the largest Parkinson's organization in Britain, in what we call our Parkinson's virtual biotech. So we are investing, we have a multi-million-dollar, multi-year commitment with Parkinson's UK to fund drug discovery and development in Parkinson's disease. So we're looking at early stage, preclinical, in some cases, therapies that can either control the symptoms or get at the underlying defect of the disease, and ultimately lead to things that could improve life, whether it's preventing, halting, or ultimately curing the disease. So that's another big aspect. The third component of our research mission, which is probably the largest, or undoubtedly the largest, is our genetics initiative, PD Generation. 20 plus years ago, maybe 30 years ago, it was unknown that there was a genetic component to Parkinson's disease. Today, we know that a percentage of people with Parkinson's will have a genetic mutation that causes their Parkinson's disease. So we're testing against 7 of those mutations. The 2 most common are LRRK2 and GBA. Because right now, clinical trials are starting to come about that would be targeting those genetic mutations, particularly LRRK2 and GBA. And if people know their genetic status and have one of those mutations, they may be eligible to participate in clinical trials that test those drugs. So that's an important component of what we're doing, is our genetics initiative. And so PD Generation, you can get tested. Anybody with Parkinson's disease can get tested through PD Generation throughout the United States. In the last year, we've expanded into Central and South America. We have some other outposts in Israel and in Europe, and we're looking to expand PD Generation globally. So we may be in Africa, further in Asia. Genetic diversity is critical in Parkinson's disease, because some people have different types of Parkinson's disease and different courses. And if we can figure that out, it will help with diagnostics, it will help with prognostics, and potentially help us identify ways to resolve the disease. The third component of our mission is our care pillar, and that's really to make sure that people living with Parkinson's are getting the very best care they deserve. We know there's a lot of variability in care. Some people are being treated by movement disorder specialists, and we assume that they're getting really outstanding care because those are people who get extra training and things like Parkinson's. A lot of people are treated by community-based neurologists, and some people are treated by primary care physicians. No matter what venue you're treated in, we want to make sure that people have the best care. And so we're working across all of those different provider types to make sure that best practices in Parkinson's care are always at the fore. And so we have a lot of ways of doing that. The biggest way we do it is through our global care network, which includes 64 centers of excellence, many at leading academic medical centers that really serve as the hub of a larger healthcare system, which are the spokes. And through that, we're connecting with about 200,000 individuals in the United States who have Parkinson's disease. And our global care network, we give those global care network centers money to supplement the care team, but also to serve as a laboratory for new and interesting pilot ideas that we might have. And also as a dissemination forum so that if there's something new in Parkinson's and we think it's benefiting people or others think it's benefiting people, we can use the global care network and all those centers to disseminate the latest in Parkinson's care. So those are the three main mission pillars. There's a lot of programs and initiatives that fall under those three categories. I'll just mention one and then I'll stop talking, George.
I
But
don't
one
mind
of
that.
those initiatives is our hospital care initiative. And around 300,000 individuals with Parkinson's will go into a hospital, whether it's for Parkinson's related issues or just something non-related to Parkinson's. But that's up to about a third of the population with PD in the United States going in for an inpatient hospital visit. What we know is if people are not, the providers in the hospitals are not aware that somebody they're caring for has Parkinson's disease, medication regimens will often get disrupted, and that can lead to a lot of downstream negative consequences. So that's just one example, but our hospital care initiative is all about safety guidelines that hospitals can put in place to make sure that if they're treating somebody with Parkinson's, whether it's Parkinson's related or not, they know that those people need to stay on their medication regimens, even if it's not in the charts or it's not part of the usual procedure. So that's been a big initiative of ours because we believe that by making sure that people with Parkinson's get what they need when they're in the hospital, just as they would when they're not in the hospital, we will avoid all sorts of adverse events or maybe discharges to more complicated settings. So that's a big initiative of ours, and it involves nearly 2 or 3 dozen hospital systems across the country who are engaging with us to really raise the standard for Parkinson's care.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, just emphasize why this show is so important because some days, whether I have my own health issues or everyone listening, or even you might, we only have hope. And through hope, I just, kind of shocked just now, but also inspired by all the things that you are all doing over the last decade and really for the future. Sometimes when everyone listening, if you're down, kind of think it's not going to get better. And then we have such incredible individuals like you, the CEO here with us, and your entire team and the foundation, all those that support you just gives me a lot more hope. So I appreciate you sharing that. And the second part, of course, is awareness. I feel bad. My heart breaks over and over again when I find out that there's someone out there who doesn't know things like the Parkinson's Foundation and your resources exist. And that's the goal of really the show. We don't accept money. We send it to you, actually, to the Parkinson's Foundation. We could
Well,
have a
thanks.
whole nother show, though, and I did want to. This is your profile, but again, everyone go to parkinson.org. I did want to share quickly. If you go to togetherforsharon.com, you'll see one of my most important favorite organizations is the Parkinson's Foundation. So feel free to go directly to the Parkinson's Foundation. If you can donate even $1, it makes a long way, or just click on our site. And the beautiful thing that we love about the Parkinson's Foundation is that any money donated does not go to me or our organization on purpose, but it goes to support organizations like the Parkinson's Foundation. And we'll be out there in the sun. I don't want to brag. Some of you might even be, John, but in the snow right now. So we have a bigger
It,
thing
it
coming.
is snowing where I am, George. I have to
All
say
right.
that. It's cold and snowy.
I always kind of feel bad and fear saying anything about Florida, but those are some of the resources and just very important. And I do think that the show is not just important today, but we always say this conversation is to be continued, because until there's a cure, I know we'll be out there fighting side by side, but we'll be sharing this not one time, not two, but till there's a cure. Wanted to shift now to, I always say the fun part of the show, which I hope the show is fun, but just to kind of get to a little bit more about you or our guests. Can you tell us 3 words that might describe who you are?
Yeah, thanks for that, George. I really appreciate it. When it comes to, I think the first thing I'd say is I'm committed to the cause of Parkinson's. I think about it every day. I wake up thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. I want to make life better for people with Parkinson's. It's my driving passion. And there's a lot of work to do. I'm not in doubt about that, but I do believe if we get up every day and keep pushing, 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 someday we'll make it better for people just in their daily lives, but ultimately find new and better therapies that take away all the negative aspects of this disease. So that's one thing. Two is, I'm part of a very large family. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. And when you're the youngest of 6 kids and everybody's loud and old, what you learn, I think, more than anything else, is the importance of listening. Right? Because often you can't get a word in edgewise, so it's often forced upon you to be listening. But it's also a really good thing. I think the thing that I've learned most as a CEO and just really in my professional career is you have to listen to people. And so at the Parkinson's Foundation, we're very proud that we have a group called People with Parkinson's Advisory Council, or PPAC. It's comprised of 15 individuals who are living with the disease or are care partners of somebody living with the disease. We meet every month, and we come together at least once a year with our PPAC members. And they are our eyes and ears on Parkinson's disease. Anytime we have a new initiative or a new program, we go to the PPAC members and ask them what they think. Is this important? And sometimes they tell us before we ask. But anything and everything we do, we run through our PPAC. And I always say that those Friday calls, those monthly Friday calls that we have are among my favorite, because it really gives me an opportunity to listen and connect with people who are living with this disease. So, and we don't ever want to be a top-down organization. We always want to be a bottom-up organization. We exist to serve people living with this disease, and so we always want to hear from people with this disease. And I'm also pleased to say we have a survey that's running right now asking the community what they think. And as of, I think, just the other day, I think we had 5,300 people had responded to that survey. So we're going to tabulate the results and put that out for the community to react to. And the third thing I'll say is, I split my time between a couple of places. Just I'm in DC a lot. I'm in Philadelphia a lot, or really the woods of Pennsylvania, and in our office in New York a lot. And then I'm all over the country. And I enjoy being out on the road and having the chance to meet with a lot of different people, both people with Parkinson's and otherwise. And it's I like to travel, and I like to travel for work, and I like to travel for pleasure. And I feel very fortunate to be able to meet so many great people who are helping us on this disease.
Well, we welcome you back to South Florida anytime. And oddly enough, we are big supporters of the advisory council. Vickis was just on last weekend, Mark Millo, Greg Hummer. I mean, I think all of those 15 are family of ours, and we work hopefully to make sure that the world knows that Parkinson's Foundation, you and the advisory are out there fighting for them. So I appreciate you sharing that. I do want to note, I love your pin because I've tried to match the suit today with the Parkinson Color Foundation. This one I always preface with might be a difficult one, because I guarantee and imagine you have many. But is there one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with awareness that you can share?
Um, well, let me just say, I, you know, I we I'll say two things. One, with awareness, there's nothing, there's nothing better for me than going to a moving day. Moving days are, a lot of people think of them as a fundraising thing, but I never think of them as fundraising. Certainly, we raise funds around moving day, but it's more like a family day to me. I mean, families turn out to support the loved one in their family who has Parkinson's disease, and they last for for a long time, and people feel good about being there. And so I always, every time I'm at a moving day, I just feel like this is such a special organization, such a special community. And it does an amazing job of outreach, right? We're in 50 plus markets a year. We're looking to increase that significantly, but I think it's a great way to outreach to people, to get people involved, to get people engaged. You don't have to be raising money. You don't have to even give money, though we love that. We just want people to come out and support people who are living with Parkinson's. So that's one. The other thing I'll say is one of the people I'm closest to, it's a member of our board who lives with Parkinson's. Um, you know, he's just a wonderful gentleman. And when I first came on the board, he was at a different stage in his disease. And as his disease has progressed, I've heard him say, "We've just got to move faster. We need greater urgency." And he's a very patient man. He's a very thoughtful man. But I feel his urgency, and I think we have to just demonstrate that urgency, and we need an army of people helping us. That's the other thing. And so, I think since the merger, where we went from being in Miami, New York, maybe a couple of outposts, to today, where we're in almost every state in the nation, that is a great change, and we're going to continue to double down on getting deeper into communities, whether it's through our community grants programs, our centers of excellence, our walks program, or just, talking to people who are out there on the street or in support groups. We've got to bring more people into the fold to help us in this fight.
I always say it's so odd when you think about it because you want this to be world known, but at the same time you don't because that means, like even us,
Right.
when I started together for Sharon.com, I was hoping to have 4 or 5 people and remember my mother, and that would have been okay. We've had over 50,000 people visit the site.
Wow.
And part of me is like, that's good. But then again, but it's not because it's heartbreaking to know
Yeah.
Parkinson's is gaining ground on us. But I do appreciate that. And this is a question that I often think about. Obviously, everyone knows you're the CEO and the spokesperson, but I like to take a moment on this show to stop and thank those in your life behind the scenes because I don't think, and I could be wrong, so tell me wrong, but if I'm wrong, but I always know I wouldn't be able to advocate today if it wasn't for my family. So I was
Yeah.
wondering who supports you during times of struggle, and if we could also send our love and support to those important people in your life.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I have this wonderful family. I come from, I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I've got all these brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. I've got a wonderful daughter who's a freshman in college right now. And they give me a lot of strength to carry on, and to do all the things that I need to do on behalf of the Parkinson's community in my current role. So I really truly, I'm all about relationships, and I think, whether it's one person or hundreds of people who care for you, as long as you've got people in your life, you really are truly fortunate. I feel very, very fortunate to be supported by so many people.
Well, we send our love and support to them and the entire organization, and we appreciate how they also support you so you can support all of us. If you had an opportunity to go back in time 10 years ago, what would you say to a younger, and hope it's okay to call you John, but a younger John 10 years ago?
Oh no, you can absolutely call me John. What would I say to a younger John is, it's work as hard as you can. There are, million Americans, maybe 10 million plus people worldwide. Uh, you know, just do whatever you can to get to better answers for people with Parkinson's. And you never know when you start a job how long you're going to stay there or how long you're going to be there. There's no other job I would rather have than to be, leading this great organization as part of this great community. We have a lot of work to do. So I would have told that younger John, brace yourself. There's a lot of work coming.
Thanks. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actor would play your role?
Okay.
We do it differently here on the Together for Sure.
Yeah, so I know who I'd want to play me would be Justin Bateman because I really like
I
him.
love them too.
I think we're roughly about the same age. He's much better looking, but what can you do? And I think it would just be about a movie. The script would be about perseverance in the face of adversity, right? Just keep going, keep pushing, and I've seen a lot of that. Like I'll remind just say again that I was at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation at a really pivotal time when they were when they were in the hunt for new and better therapies for cystic fibrosis against huge odds. And they beat those odds because they stayed at it. They were persistent about it. I really believe we can have the same kind of effect here in the Parkinson space. We just got to keep at it, keep raising money, keep pushing forward, keep funding the best and brightest minds out there, and we'll get there.
Yeah, I believe you are a hero and inspiration to so many. Can you share with the audience who your hero is?
My hero was my grandfather. He was a man who was born into very humble circumstances in Chicago, and had an incredibly successful personal life and professional life. And throughout it, he maintained just tremendous humility. He never got out of his shoes or above himself, and he was really truly dedicated to helping people and everyone. And when he passed away, I mean, the pouring out of people from all walks of life to just to sort of show their grace to him, that has always stayed with me, right? That no matter where you are, be humble, be thankful, and recognize that you're a part of a larger team always. You're not the star on any team. You're just a part of the team, and he really taught me that.
Thank you. This is an interesting question. Everyone, I think all of us have a burning question inside that either we never ask someone or we just know it won't be an answer to. I was wondering if you could share something that you've, and obviously towards the Parkinson's world, but I was just curious, is there something kind of in your stomach burning, like a feeling that you just wish you had the answer, but just haven't really thought about pursuing it for now?
I mean, it always goes back to one of the things I've learned is just how complex Parkinson's disease is. I wish it wasn't so complex. I wish there was, one thing that we could figure out and it was just one problem. But there's so many things happening with Parkinson's disease. There's a genetic component, an environmental component, there's an immunological component. I mean, there's just, does it enter through the gut? Does it enter through the brain? I just wish it was a simpler disease because I think we could solve it more quickly. I don't know if I'm answering your question exactly, George, but that's kind of what the way I look at it.
And is there a theme song that kind of you would like to sum up of your life story?
Oh,
As
that's a
you
good
can
one.
see, I love the entertainment world, so I got to bring in music.
Theme song. Wow, that's a hard one. Uh, Gosh, I might have to pass on that one, George, and get
You
back to
are
you on
allowed.
it.
That's perfect. Well, I just had one more, but I do want to thank you. I think today's show, well, number one, I forgot, which we can't. I'd like to dedicate it to your loved one that passed because I believe through our words and advocacy, they live on forever. So I hope that's
Yes,
okay with you. And
absolutely.
wanted to also tell the audience how you do allow, because of this opportunity, that you don't forget us out there, even just that one person like me who's kind of, doing this my own. I don't accept money, probably put in 24/7, many nights I don't sleep, wishing my mother was still by my side. And I think, but she was my best friend. She was the person I went to for like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I feel she lost 15 years alive due to Parkinson's and 15 years after life because she was only 69. To me,
Yeah.
that's a baby, 20, 25, people I think should be around enjoying many more years. But, giving this opportunity for me to meet with you means more than I think words. And I have a lot of words all the time, but not for this one. This I'm so grateful, and I do hope everyone goes to the Parkinson's Foundation website. We'll share the link so you don't have to write it, and it's no excuse, everyone, to get out to a moving day event. They're so much fun, and as John said earlier, I love virtual because we get this incredible opportunity we might not have had, and also I love email and social media, but hugging someone who's either a caregiver or battling Parkinson's, that moment, laughing with them, even crying with them, just is life changing. And that's why even through my tough times, as John might not know, but just today, and I won't fall apart because I did this morning, that I have to have a back stimulator for, due to 4 surgeries for back that really were tough. But every time I had anesthesia, woke up from the bed, grabbed my phone and fought for a cure for Parkinson's disease, because that's really what means a lot to me. And I don't get, this is emotional stuff, but being with you today just changed my life forever. And just wanted to follow up with one last question. And I hate saying last because I do hope this will be continued. But if you could leave, and you've already kind of addressed this, but if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
I would say that so I'm in my ninth year here, and I will say that I am seeing progress pick up. I'm in the last number of years. I mean, I think we've been making steady progress, but I'm starting to see an acceleration, some interesting breakthroughs. There's been some really great work in genetics. I think there's great work in biomarkers. I think there are many more therapies that are in the pipeline. I think we're getting a better understanding of the science. So I would say, we've still got a ways to go. I never want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I am really starting to see an acceleration of breakthroughs in the Parkinson space. I think those are going to bear fruit for us in the near term, near to midterm. So we just got to keep at it. We got to just keep putting our boots on every day and going out in the fields and plowing, and we'll get there. It's a great community. It's a committed community, and it's a community that can point to some things that have happened over the last couple of years and go, yeah, okay, we are making progress.
I really appreciate everything today, and not just today, but the past and the future. And I feel together, just great things are to come, even during those tough times. And I do have a little message for you and everyone listening. We love you, we support you, we care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with CEO Lehr, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. And I always end the show with, I'm just getting started, because even though obviously you've been doing this for 10 years or more, probably your lifetime, and I've been doing it for 5. Every time again I have a tough day or just feel like I can't keep going, I look to you, the CEO of the Parkinson's Foundation, and our time together today, and really inspires me to never give up. And I hope the same for everybody listening, because there's a lot of hope, and you can see the progress, which is something tangible. And that's really what we do. And I won't rest until there's a cure at everybody's doorstep around the world. So thank you again for your time. Again, I'll sound like a broken record, but it does mean the world to me, but also so many.
Yeah, and thank you, George. Thank you for all you're doing. These presentations are just terrific, and I know they help people and give people hope.
Yeah, they also, selfishly helped me because I'm still grieving 5 years later. And, the only journey that breaks my heart today is the one I'm not aware of. And we have so many people like yourself, or people, rowing around the world and raising so much money, this, that. And Vicus is a hero of mine, and so many people that I just wish and hope the world learns about. And I do encourage everyone to share this, and again, support John and the beautiful Parkinson's Foundation. So much more to come. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon and George. I think the first time I'm speechless. So thank you all. We Please stay tuned and share this. Thanks everyone. We love you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, George. Appreciate it.